It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
More. .06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Tuesday. Gee, I'm still struggling with this. It's a Taco Tuesday. Okay, by the end of the day, I'm going to have one. I do this every single Tuesday. I have no idea what to say for Tuesday. Today's the day I pick one. Anyway.
Today's show is sponsored by pretzel-flavored mustard. Why eat the pretzel when you can just eat the mustard?
And no chewing is involved.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
I got some interesting news for you about a celebrity out there. Then we'll get into some really good news. So I don't follow celebrities. I really don't care. But every so often something pops up in the news. Oh, and I always wonder, when a celebrity does do something, why is it always a big deal? Or if something happens in the news and they go get celebrities' opinions, why do I care what some celebrity thinks? Oftentimes, celebrities are really talented people, and we admire them for whatever talent they might have, and we got to give them credit. If they're really good at something, then God bless them, and glad to see how much success they're having. But other than their talent, in many cases, they don't know a whole lot. So when some movie star who's a really good at, let's say some actor's a really great actor, and we all love the guy, but then you hear his political opinions or social opinions or opinions on science or whatever, and you find out the only thing he's good at is acting. He's an idiot everywhere else. That happens a lot, which is why I'm not really all that impressed with most actors. I really love and admire what they do. Even their personal lives are just a damn mess. So I have no reason other than they have that talent on screen as an actor. There's nothing else about them that I really want to follow for any reason. All right, so the lovely Miss Taylor Swift. Now, I'll give her credit. She's a beautiful woman. She is extraordinarily talented and a good businesswoman. So look at the level of success that she has achieved, and her fans just adore her. And I've never seen a concert, although you can watch some of her concerts on television. I might one day, because I hear she's really good. I've seen a couple of her music videos. They popped up on my YouTube stream, and I thought, what the hell, I'll watch. She's really good. That girl's got multiple talents. Okay, so then she goes to endorse Kamala Harris for president, and I'm thinking, well, okay, what you got there, young lady, is some really great musical talent and great screen presence, too. She can sing, she can dance, she can act. Got to give her credit. She's a good businesswoman. Lots of credit for that. After that, though, it kind of drops off. Oh, even her stance on climate change and the hypocrisy of it all is when she flies somewhere to do a concert, it's not just her flying on a jet to get there. Her whole crew, the whole band, all of the equipment, all of this stuff is put on multiple airplanes. And yet she's trying to fight the climate crisis, right? Or she thinks there's a climate crisis anyway. All right, so Taylor Swift endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris. And you might think, wow, well, that's going to get Kamala some votes. Actually, no. Here's the story. A recent YouGov poll showed about 20% of voters are much less likely to support Harris after Taylor Swift's endorsement, while only 8% of voters were more likely to vote for her. So there's more people, because Taylor Swift endorsed Harris, who are turned off from Kamala Harris than those people who say, oh, okay, I'll take the endorsement. And even then, I bet you the people who, when Taylor Swift endorsed Harris, that were going to vote for Harris, were going to do it anyway. It just depends on what they tell the pollsters. Despite mixed reactions, Swift's Instagram, let's see, there's over 300,826 visits to vote.gov, highlighting the increase in civic engagement. About two-thirds people polled said, well, because Swift mentioned that she was endorsing Harris, more people went to register to vote. Over 300,000 people, it says, if you're equating that to the endorsement. But then take a look at the numbers, if we're believing the poll numbers here. But how many people say, but gosh, she endorsed Harris, so I'm going to vote for Harris too? Some, but not many. Most people were turned off by the idea. I think that's interesting when I took a look at the numbers there. Let's see. So who else is reporting on this story? This, I think, is kind of fun. This is a website called Straight Arrow News. And so they start taking a look at different news organizations who are reporting on the story that I just gave you. Far left news organizations, none. Just main leftist, no. Lean left news organizations, none. One news organization that's considered to be a centrist news organization did report this story. Gee, there's two that lean a little bit right. New York Post is one of them. And right-leaning news organizations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and far-right just one. So, okay, a lot of right-leaning organizations are reporting this story. But left-leaning organizations are not even touching the story. Now, what I find interesting about that is when Taylor Swift says she's going to endorse Harris or is endorsing Harris, you better believe the left-leaning news media was all over that. Not surprised. I mean, it's a celebrity story. They're all about celebrities, so they're all over that. But then it turns out that her endorsement actually turns more people off from Harris than turns them on. Who reports that? Well, not the left-leaning news organizations. That's not what they want to hear. So they're not going to touch the story. Obviously not. Okay. Just something I came across this morning that I thought that was interesting if you want to believe the polls in something like that. Who influences who in cases like this? Now, for me, and personally, I don't care who celebrities endorse or who anybody else. I never pay attention to any endorsements at all. I don't care who does it. I make up my own mind on things. I never stop to look at endorsements as a way that I should make up my mind. Why, take a look at that great actor, or even people in politics, people who work in news media outlets. You know, there was a time it was a big deal. A newspaper, their editorial staff would get together and endorse a candidate. And I always looked at that and thought, is that supposed to influence me? That you guys got together and have a conversation about this and wrote an article about who your editorial staff endorses as a candidate for whatever office? Maybe some people care out there, but I don't. I never did. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of research myself and make up my own mind. All right, now, next up, I've been very interested in the recent guy to try to assassinate Trump. More and more information has come in about him. I heard some yesterday on the Glenn Beck program. I've got some more today. I want to go through some of this to take a look at who this guy is, because this was not just somebody who has had a first-time run-in with the law because of the attempted Trump assassination. This guy's been around for a while and has a bit of a record. We'll take a look at it next.
My back hurts from carrying the weight of being my mom's most badass child.
If it matters to Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Call Glenn at 888-97-WOODS and make your voice heard. AM 1030, K2 Radio.
It's Wake Up Wyoming. So on the Taylor Swift story, and for those just joining me, Glenn's doing a Taylor Swift story. It was a Taylor Swift story having to do with her endorsing Harris. And when I'm not big on polls, but all right, looking at the numbers anyway, it looks like maybe it influenced a very small percentage of people to vote for Harris, but most people, it turned them off. So it did not actually do any good. but I don't listen to celebrities anyway. But okay. First off, Chief Redland, who's in Jeffrey City. How many people are left in Jeffrey City, by the way? 5? Just kind of curious. Anyway, he says, you got to remember 90% of Taylor Swift's songs are about picking the wrong person, which is a meme that's been all over the internet, which I appreciated. Because, yeah, most of her songs are about picking the wrong person and making bad decisions. All right, now, for Spearsy and Casper, Spearsy, you owe me the letter N. See, my name is spelled with 2 N's. You only gave me 1. So just text me the letter N, nothing else, and I'll put it in there for you. Because my name is not Glenn, it's Glenn. See, you hear the difference here? Okay, anyway. He says, I don't be too like the Taylor Swift poll at, I doubt they polled 18 to 25-year-old kids. Well, as far as who her fans are, yeah, there are a lot of young people. And that has to do with college-age kids, too, not just high schoolers, but college-age kids. So you'd want to make sure, this is why I always look at polls and kind of doubt what they're doing. Who did they poll exactly? Are these people of voting age? Are they likely voters? Just because you talk to Taylor Swift fans, are they actually people who are voting? And yet Taylor Swift does have an audience that's older than just college kids. There's actually quite a few out there that are older than that. But this goes back to who you're polling exactly. You want to ask before even taking the poll, are you going to vote? I mean, seriously, are you? And if their answer is, well, yes, I'm definitely going to vote. Great. And did Taylor Swift's endorsement help you make a decision at all? Yes or no? That would be a more accurate poll. All right. They're just going by what people said after the endorsement, and it looks like that it turned off more people than it turned on. That's an interesting story, but I always take that kind of a thing with a big bag of salt, not just a grain of salt, but a big bag of salt, because it's a poll and it's the news media, and so you know how good they are at polls, right? All right. Let's get real quick into this guy, Ryan Wesley Roth, who was the latest to attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. Yesterday I was hearing some information about him, but I always like to wait, and I'm still waiting a bit. I always like to wait to get more information before I start deciding what happened. Because remember what I said, and I went at length with this yesterday. Whenever something happens, usually the first thing you hear is wrong, and usually the first thing you think is wrong. Which is one of the reasons I work really hard at resisting the temptation to jump to conclusions after something has happened. What I'm getting from other people, even especially news outlets, is usually not trustworthy, and what I'm thinking at the time is usually not trustworthy. True for you, too. So as more information comes in, the story in front of me says, one former FBI agent said he would be shocked if the person charged in connection with the Ryan Wesley Roth, the guy who attempted to shoot Trump, was not already on the radar U.S. intelligence services, and it turned out he has been. The FBI already confirmed Monday that a tip came in 2019 that Roth was in possession of a firearm as a felon. So he was already guilty of a felony, wasn't supposed to have a gun, got a gun. So wow, those gun laws really help a whole lot, don't they? He was a person of interest. It did not appear local police pursued the lead after they found out that he possibly had a gun. Well, they have so much going on, they can't keep up with it all. His foreign travels to the Ukraine. He tried to become a fighter in the Ukraine. They considered him too old and didn't quite trust his personality, so they turned him down. But he ended up writing a book. I don't know if anything ever happened to the book, but he was trying to get people to join the fight in Ukraine. He tried to be a recruiter. He had plans to recruit ex-Afghan soldiers to fight against Russia, all likely put Roth on the crosshairs, the story says, of other U.S. intelligence agencies as well. Jeff Danik, 28-year-old veteran of the FBI, said based on his experience asking what information those agencies already knew about Roth, he'd likely be one of the first that his task force would investigate. He said, I asked about it in almost every case I had, especially in counterterrorism division at the FBI when I was there. What did other intelligence agencies know about this American citizen out on the battlefield who was trying to recruit people in Afghanistan to go fight in Ukraine? Oh, he's got a long history of, this guy's a long history of stuff like this. I even came across, thank you, Spearsy. Spearsy sent me the letter N, which I can now insert into my name because he only wrote my name with one N. We're good now. Thank you, Spearsy. It is a capital N that you sent me, so it's going to look weird, but I'll put it in there. Anyway, so this guy was in Hawaii, and he actually was trying to do good works, building homes for people who couldn't afford homes. I mean, he was always trying to do something important with his life. Let's see, the story says, and this is a quote, those are targeted countries that he traveled to. Ukraine, Afghanistan, which puts him on the radar screen with the CIA, the NSA, and other intelligence agencies, including out of country, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand. So I got a little more information on this guy. I'll cover it coming up after local news. Update on your weather forecast right after that. And we have an extended weather forecast with some changes in it coming up at 6:45. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.
News and weather together at the top and bottom of every hour. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So, okay, I'm going through just what information we have so far about this latest guy who tried to assassinate Trump. And what we have, Reader's Digest version for those people just joining me, is a guy who spent a lot of time trying to do things that he thought would be great things. He wanted to go, and his life goes way back before what I'm just telling you now, but in more recent years, he wanted to go to Ukraine and fight against Russia. They thought he was too old and a bit weird, so no. So he tried to recruit, even tried writing a book about why we should be in there in Ukraine and so on. Don't know whatever happened to the book, but he tried anyway. So then he goes to Afghanistan to try to recruit people to go fight against Russia. That's just, okay. So by this point, he's on the radar screen of all sorts of different government agencies, and not just our government, many other countries. So here's a quote. So an American traipsing around in battlegrounds around the world is going to receive focus. He said, this is a guy who worked for the FBI. I would be shocked if one of the intelligence agencies didn't have his devices compromised. In other words, tracking him, bugging him. All that data and collection is going to be classified, of course, but my question is, does it even exist? Do we know who he was contacting? So Roth, the guy who wanted to kill Trump, he was rebranding into a Ukraine advocate as a recruiter. He wanted to recruit foreign fighters to follow a decades-long criminal record in his home city of Greensboro, North Carolina. So this guy already had a criminal record in America, where he was charged with several crimes, including felony possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Let me read that again. So this guy who tried to assassinate Trump already had been charged with several crimes, including felony possession of a weapon of mass destruction, a machine gun, according to court records. Not some assault rifle thing, a machine gun. Roth was ultimately convicted of the charge along with carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a stolen property, and a hit and run. There was also charges related to driving with a suspended license, according to the court in North Carolina. There is no record of him spending any time in prison for these convictions. He probably should have. The records they also show several civil judgments resulting from lawsuits by contractors and individuals against a roofing company he tried to run. Quote, I figure he was either dead or in prison by now, according to Tracy Falk, the charging officer for the arrest of possession of a machine gun. I had no clue that he had moved and was continuing with his weird escapades. So according to the Greensboro, North Carolina News record, Roth was arrested after he barricaded himself into a business, leading to a 3-hour standoff with local police. Roth was pulled over around 10 p.m. that evening in a traffic stop, but also after flashing a firearm, drove to his company and locked himself in, according to the local paper. Let me see. He recently filed in more detail, telling Wired magazine that Roth was well known by local police, telling the outlet that they would receive alerts about him for weapons and explosive allegations. This guy's, again, just nuts. This has been his life. Quote, one night I recognized him in his vehicle, said, I think the reporter with Wired here, describing the night of the arrest. I knew he didn't have a driver's license. This is a police officer. So I stopped him right in front of his rooftop shop, which was what used to be on Lee Street in Greensboro. He stopped, and as I approached his truck, he pulled a sack away from the center of his seat. I saw a gun. So, of course, I drew my gun, stating, hey, show me your hands. And he just basically pulled into the driveway and ran into the house, and we ended up having a special response team, an hour's worth of standoffs here. You can see this guy has issues, really does. And see, the Bureau also received a tip in 2019. Roth was a felon in possession of a firearm and eventually forwarded that tip to a local law enforcement agency in Honolulu, where he was now living. Roth has expressed a wide range of political opinions according to social media posts, but recently against Trump. Now, he did, and the media loved to point out, well, he voted for Trump. Yes, he did vote for Trump once, but then became very disappointed in Trump and ended up wanting to kill Trump. And see, Roth wrote he wrote a letter giving permission for Iran to assassinate the former president. So this guy thinks that he's a big deal, I guess. He can go ahead and give permission for Iran to assassinate the former president. Quote, I must take part of the blame for the retarded child that we elected for our next president, is what Roth is writing about President Trump. So you see how this goes on and on and on. This guy has a long and strange history. I was wondering, who's the nutball who's camping out under the bushes for 12 hours waiting for Trump to play golf on Sunday? Wow, this goes a lot deeper than I thought.
150 years ago, you didn't have to ask permission from the government to go fishing, own a property, build on your property, renovate your home, use a transportation vehicle, start a business, get married, own a weapon, hunt, cut hair, sell a product, protest, grow your own food, sell that food that you grew on your own property, or even just set up a lemonade stand. And now, you virtually can't do anything without asking for the government's permission first. So if you still think you're free,
when you need to know quicker than the morning paper or the 5 o'clock news, you need Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Mornings on K2 Radio.
6:49 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the icebox. Frank Gambino is waiting by. Frank, leave it to me this early in the morning to come up with a bunch of tasteless humor for you.
What time is it?
Let's see. It's 6:49.
Okay, that's tasteless and a tasty breakfast.
Yes. You walk into the restroom, and there is a sign there above the toilet that says, well, hey there, sweet cheeks. Or next to the toilet paper. You can buy these signs, by the way.
You can, yes. They must be sold out.
Oh, they must be.
I never see them anywhere.
Right next to the toilet paper, a sign that says, just roll with it.
Roll with it.
Okay. See, this is pretty good. Here's one. It doesn't flush itself, you know. I think I can go with that to make sure. Now, this is very tasteless, Frank, so if anyone has a problem with this, they can blame me. Okay. The sign says, don't be afraid to fart while peeing. Rain sometimes comes with thunder. So there you go. See?
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
These are, there's another one that shows a silhouette of Darth Vader sitting on the pot, and it says use the Force. Okay.
Glenn.
Yes.
It's too early in the morning.
It is, yeah.
and it may be too late at night for some people.
One last one and I'm done. I want this sign. What happens in the bathroom stays in the bathroom.
Right.
See, now that one I would buy.
Yeah.
I would.
Okay. All right, college football, the Wyoming Cowboys will try it again this Saturday. They'll travel to Denton to meet North Texas. The Pokes are 0-3 after a 20-point loss to BYU on Saturday in Laramie. It has been painful so far for UW, especially on offense. Cowboy defense last week against BYU probably was on the field too long thanks to limited production from the offense. Cougar quarterback Jake Retzlaff was 22 of 36 for 291 yards and 3 touchdown passes, plus he ran for 62. Those are the kind of numbers Wyoming needs from that spot. BYU with 458 yards of offense and Wyoming with 217, and that says it all. Now, North Texas is 2-1. They were drilled by Texas Tech last week, 66-21. The Mean Green is favored by 9 points in Saturday's game. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff from Denton. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Also in college football, the American Athletic Conference, the same league that North Texas plays in, reportedly is eyeing the Air Force Academy from the Mountain West Conference for expansion. The AAC already has 14 schools, but they do have Army and Navy, which would certainly be appealing to the Air Force. The Mountain West needs to figure something out quick and soon, and they are going to lose Colorado State, Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State to the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 or whatever it is, starting in 2026. Division I college volleyball, the Wyoming Cowgirls lost 2 out of 3 in the University of Colorado tournament in Boulder over the weekend. They lost to Cal in 4 sets, UC Irvine in 5 sets, and defeated CU in 3 sets. Cowgirls are 6-2, and they'll be in their own tournament this week in Laramie, hosting Coppin State on Thursday, Albany on Friday, and Utah on Saturday. Junior college volleyball, Casper College is 2-14 on the year as they fought with losses to Dodge City, Kansas, New Mexico Junior College, Odessa College, and Utah State Eastern in the Northeastern Colorado tournament in Sterling over the weekend. The T-Birds have lost 9 straight matches, 3 sets to none. They'll host NJC on Friday at the Erickson Gym in Miles City on Saturday. The OCCC volleyball team is 5-11 after losing 3 out of 4 in that same NJC tournament in Sterling. The Golden Eagles did beat Indian Hills, Iowa in 5 sets, and they were ranked 10th in the country. They lost to number 15 New Mexico Junior College, Dodge City, Kansas, and Barton, Kansas. LCCC will host NJC coming up on Thursday. That's it in sports.
So UW has it this weekend, right? They're winning this one?
No.
Oh.
They're not. I'm not going to say anything about them winning anything until they actually win something.
Okay.
You know, so now they're 9-point underdogs. You know, They got to go all the way down to Texas. Not that North Texas is, Alabama or anything like that, or the University of Texas, but they have to be almost completely different than what they have displayed in the first 3 games. So does this, they fly down there and all of a sudden they get off the plane like, all right, we're a new team. We're getting rid of mistakes. We're going to be proficient on offense. We're going to be, nobody's mentioned like, hey, whatever happened to Cowboy Tough?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, right. So I would say also at this point, while they're trying to motivate each other, I'm sure. Oh, yeah. I would bet morale is down.
Morale's got to be down. However, they're doing the right thing by not throwing each other under the bus.
Okay, that's good anyway.
You support your teammates, win or lose or draw.
Yeah, get out there. All right. You can look good losing. Just don't look bad losing. Okay. Just don't lose. All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business that we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. You and I go rolling back into. Hey, the building next to the state capitol, the Hersler building. Yeah, someone. Well, it was evacuated. There was a white powder in an envelope or something like that. We'll take a look at it. Yeah, that actually happened in Wyoming. We'll take a look at it next hour. Wake up, Wyoming.
Morning.
.06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is Tuesday. Today I'm just going to call it Takeout Tuesday. Which means just all your food's supposed to be takeout or something like that. I don't know. I'm still working on it. I'll figure it out one of these days. Hang on a second here. Okay. All of a sudden, everything I'm trying to do on the computer over here is just freezing. which is a problem because I was trying to play, the thing I always play for you guys this hour. Today's sponsor is, I'm trying to click on this and the computer's just not, okay, it's going to freeze and crash on me at some point. All right, let's see if I can at least get to the story, and when I'm able to play that, I will. The building next to the state capitol had to be evacuated, that's here in Wyoming, because of some white powder. And so if you've been there, the Hersler building is the building that's right next to the Wyoming Capitol. It was evacuated Monday after a letter containing a white powder was found at the Secretary of State's office. Similar threats have been made to other Secretary of States, including Iowa and Nebraska. So at some point, I expect to get a note from our Secretary of State, Chuck Gray, saying he'd like to be on the program to talk about this. And, of course, if he does that, I'll let him on because I don't think, now, to my knowledge, the powder is not anthrax or anything like that. But you don't really need to do anything like that today. All you really need to do is just send a white powder. And I've seen that happen before. We've seen that back. Remember back in the anthrax, back right after 9/11, there were all sorts of anthrax threats going on. Here's the story. Wyoming was included in a string of threats made against secretaries of states across the country Monday, prompting the evacuation of the state office building next to the Capitol. The entire Hersler building east was evacuated after a letter containing a white powder was found at the Secretary of State's office. Secretary of State Chuck Gray and his office contacted law enforcement immediately, and the building was cleared as the substance was evaluated by law enforcement. He did not immediately answer any follow-up questions to that, which is why usually when something happens, Chuck will go ahead and get a hold of me a day or so after. Because there was I think a threat that he received. We had the phone call here. There was a threat that he received by phone call. It was left on the answering machine, and it was like 2 days after that he said, "Can I come on the program and talk about it?" So he usually waits a little bit to do that. Similar threats were also made Monday with secretaries of states in Nebraska and Iowa. In Nebraska, a suspicious envelope was found, while in Iowa there was a suspicious parcel. So I guess here in Wyoming, we don't get to have the parcel. We're stuck with just the envelope. Well, shows what they think of us. Election workers in several battleground states have been reporting receiving almost daily threats about their management of their presidential election. Gray also received, and that's that the story gets to the threatening phone call that he called this program about, and I played you the audio for that. Now, I'm reading, by the way, from Cowboy State Daily. A state of Wyoming employee estimated to Cowboy State Daily there is about a 1 in 110 employees that work in a Hersler building. On Monday, around 75 people were milling around or laying on the grass under the sunny skies and mild temperatures after being evacuated at about 11:30 a.m. At noon, a bomb squad carrying hazmat materials and so on entered the building. There was chatter on dispatch radios after that. FBI inspected. They sent in a bomb-sniffing dog as well. Fire trucks, ambulances were outside as well. So they brought in everything. There's even a picture here of employees either standing outside or just relaxing, laying around in the grass. So the Hersler building east not only contains the Secretary of State's office, but also the Wyoming Department of Education and Revenue. There's the state treasurer, the state auditor's office, the state auditor, Christy Rachinas, and director of revenue, Brenda Henson, also among the people waiting outside. Henson and Rita Watson, longtime employees of the Department of Education, said she had seen an evacuation evacuation notice after a threat. Let me see. There were a few tornado and fire alarms. They said there was a fire alarm when someone cooked their popcorn for too long. That happened. There was a tornado thing that went off some time ago. Watson said her department was informed about the threat by Wyoming Highway Patrol troopers as soon after the Highway Patrol is in charge of they're in charge of managing security on Capitol grounds. And see. A spokesperson for Governor Gordon said the governor had been briefed on the events. And of course there's a statement from the governor where he strongly condemns stuff like this. And then there's more pictures of people just standing around outside. So I haven't heard of anything after this about what the substance was, but so what? If somebody says they go ahead and send a package or even just some white powder in, it could have just been talcum powder. Who knows? And they don't care as far as the person sending it. They're just trying to send a message. It doesn't need to be the real thing. Just send a message. Now, what the message is in this case, I'm still waiting to hear. Is it supposed to be about election integrity? Something like that? Not sure. Because while I see the story here that talks about the powder arriving and a couple of other states, Secretary of States receiving packages as well, what I don't see is, and what is specifically the threat all about? Don't know. But people are worried about election integrity. I would say, though, for anyone, and this would be just grossly misinformed, if anyone thinks that our Secretary of State is not interested in election integrity, they have not been paying attention to what he's been trying to do since he's been in office. Wyoming, one of the safest places in the country for your vote, especially because we're such a small town in a big state. I mean, really, in most places where folks go to vote, everybody knows everybody. In the bigger towns around Wyoming, still, though, it's very easy to keep an eye on election integrity with the size of the population that we have to deal with here. So there's never really been that much of a problem here in the state of Wyoming. However, do we have to still watch out for it? Yes, of course we do. Do we need to make sure we don't have like ballot drop boxes, which I agree with Chuck Gray on that. Let's not get ballot drop boxes going in the state of Wyoming. Bad idea. We already have them, but bad idea. Let's get rid of those. But also making sure the voter rolls are cleared of people who have died or moved away. Things like that have to be checked out as well. I think, though, as far as voter integrity in the state of Wyoming, it's been pretty good. Unlike some other states where it's really easy to cheat. And I'm not aware of in the state of Wyoming, unless I'm wrong about this, I'm not aware of illegal immigrants having the right to vote either in the state of Wyoming. Although that has been the case in some other states where people who show up illegally in this country and because of local laws are able to get a driver's license and things like this, and then they get put on the voter rolls because if you get a driver's license, you're immediately registered to vote in some states. So these people are already registered to vote, and they can, and some of them have, but they're in this country illegally, so they shouldn't be allowed to. There's been problems like that need to be looked into. Wyoming, though, it's a bit easier to do business here. 7:15 is the time. Wake up, Wyoming.
Take Glenn anywhere with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
7:18 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So I had said before that, it looks like this computer is about to crash on me. It did. No, I did not get the blue screen of death. Excuse me while I put in my password. I'm rebooting it here. Don't look. You can stare at your radio all you want. You're not going to be able to see what I just typed. There we go. So we'll see if this thing comes back up again. I have a second computer in front of me I'm using here. Okay, so let's go to Casper real quick. One of the things I like about taxes in Wyoming, besides the fact we don't have a state income tax, things like that, we really do, in most cases, have a very low tax structure. Yes, we have had a problem with our property taxes. We're working on it. Some better solutions have come up, but nothing really great yet. So we're still working on that. But compared to other states, we do really well when it comes to taxes. But also there's that little thing we have, and I love this. If taxes are to be raised, especially on the local level, they have to get permission from the community. So in other words, your local city officials, county officials cannot just decide, well, we're going to raise your taxes and spend money on this. They can't. They can't do that. They have to be, they have to court you and convince you. And then in some cases, they actually go ahead and get that extra penny tax, whatever it might be. And when you're talking government officials, these are people who are always finding ways to spend money, and they want to spend money on more and more things. Now, when it comes to me, I'm a tightwad with our money, your money, my money, really a tightwad. From my more libertarian point of view, honestly, government should be doing very little with your money. And so all these wonderful ideas, that's why and I hope it dies, I really do, that shooting range idea that they have from the state to spend about $10 million of state money just to build the damn thing and get a professional level shooting range. Now, often when I talk about this, people say, well, I have a shooting range in my county. No, we're talking professional, like Olympic level kind of shooting range where we can have international competitions here in the state of Wyoming. And so they're really all up on doing this idea, and I think I like the idea, but not a single penny of government money should be spent on it. None. That's not what government should be doing. So there's a lot of things I would just get rid of that your local government wants to spend money on. If they're going to spend the money on your local level, city, county, they have to get your permission. So I say that. Let's go to Casper, Wyoming. In the second meeting, the City of Casper officials are inviting the public to join them to learn more about the city's push for a 6-cent tax to fund any or all of 8 propositions. So this is the second open. This is where they can't just have one meeting and do this. There's a whole long process to this, which I'm in favor of. Because if you folks out there in the Casper area want these proposals, then they have to convince you. And I've seen this play down let's go down to Cheyenne a few years ago. They kept trying to pass an extra penny tax for several projects, and they could never get it done. So finally what they tried to do is a bundling. There was one thing that people would certainly vote for, but in order to vote for that one thing, you got to get the several other things that nobody wanted. They try all sorts of different ploys. So the second open house in Casper to discuss any or all of 8 propositions, how they would be funded and how the 4th and 5th cent taxes are funded, will take place at 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's supposed to be, I believe, today at the Recreation Center in Casper, Wyoming. So let's see. The city finalize recommendations for a sales tax that would fund, the following. And by the way, the vote would be approved in the final vote in November. So I guess when you go to cast your vote, this is going to be on the ballot. So you can decide. Reconstruction of the Metro Animal Shelter, $7.3 million. Fire station number 1, $4.4 million, reduced from the original cost. Second sheet of ice, Casper Ice Arena, $5 million. Hoganon chairlift replacement, $4.2 million. 911 dispatch, $5 million, reduced from the original cost. Auxiliary gym at the rec center, $3.6 million. Washington Park band shell reconstruction, $1.5 million. They have in Washington Park, which is a very nice park, they have a bandstand area, which does look very nice. And they want to fix that because it's getting kind of old. And then fast pitch softball field, $4 million. All right, so I take a look at this. City Casper reviews team committee estimates at 1% tax they estimate would generate about $35 million, with the allowed 2-year period precisely the amount needed for the proposed projects. If voters approve the tax collection over the next 2 years, it says, so, okay, look for this on your November ballot. Now, again, being the more libertarian kind of guy, let me go through, because I'm a tightwad here, let me go through what I would look at as something government should do and what government shouldn't do. Okay, so you can haggle with me about a metro animal shelter, which I don't mind the idea of an animal shelter to take care of, but $7.3 million, I bet we can bring that price way down. A fire station, which was reduced from the original cost, I would still like to take a look at that cost, but I have not a problem. A fire station on the whole is not a bad idea, and I'd like to keep those buildings up and running, but okay, I want to take a look at it, because who's going to oppose the fire station, right? Okay. Second sheet of ice at the Casper Ice Arena. Casper Ice Arena needs to be privatized, not run by government. There's the libertarian in me. That needs to be privatized. If somebody wants to run an ice arena, it's privatized. And if it's a private company that's making a profit, then, and even if it's a public ice arena, run by the government, which it shouldn't be, but making a profit, they wouldn't need to ask us for $5 million for a second sheet of ice. It's making money. They can afford to put a second sheet of ice down. But that's something I look at as should be a private thing. Hogan chairlift replacement. Hogan should be a private entity. The city and counties all over the country own golf courses, and they purchase ski resorts and things like this, and my answer is no. That needs to be a private entity. And if the company that owns it is going out of business, whatever the case is, then let them. I don't look at that as the proper role of government. And again, if Hogan were earning money, if they were making money up there, and they needed to replace their chairlift, they would already have the money to do it because they're a profitable company. You see what I mean? A profitable company already has the money to go ahead and replace it. They don't need to ask for more money. In this case, they're asking from the taxpayers. So I look at it and wonder, so to the city, are you sure you're okay running the Hogan ski resort area? Because it sounds to me like you don't have the money to do things like keep it up, like with chairlifts and so on. Are you losing money? I'd like to see the books. 911 dispatch. $5 million. I would like to, of course, who doesn't want 911, but I'd like some details as to what exactly do you need that's $5 million for a 911 dispatch. I don't know the answer. I'm asking the question. Auxiliary gym at the rec center. I don't like having government-run rec centers. No, that's something that private business does. Recreation centers for the private. Remember, I'm the libertarian here. I'm the tightwad with the money. Washington Ballpark band shell reconstruction, $1.5 million. You guys let me know if that's something that government should be done or not. It's in a park. But be more libertarian. I'm for privatizing everything. Fast pitch softball field, $4 million. Absolutely not. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'm not against fast-pitch softball. I think it's a great idea. Kids would have a good time with that. But that's not something government needs to do. So if a bunch of people who like fast-pitch softball would like to start a fast-pitch softball field, then they can go ahead and do that. I mean, let them raise the money. Hell, they can come on this radio program and get a bunch of airtime, and I'll even write up some articles encouraging people, hey, these folks want to play softball out there. How about that? I would rather do that than put it on as a burden of the taxpayers, which I don't think, once again, is the proper role of government. So, no fast-pitch softball. No Hogan. You see what I mean by the difference? Well, but you tell me. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. There's quite a few things on that list that I would say absolutely not. I'm okay with your fire station. Hey, we need a fire station, but I'd like to see the books. 911 dispatch? Yeah, we need that, sure. But I'd like to see why it costs so much money. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it does. I'd like to see the books, please. Coming up on 7:30, local news coming your way after local news, update on the weather forecast, and you and I get back into it again. Oh, also, 7:45, an extended weather forecast, because there's a lot of changes coming in the next couple of days. Hopefully, at least we get a good shot of rain through this. We'll find out. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Download the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. Listen anywhere and chat live with Glenn during the show on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
7:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right. 888-97 Woods, the phone number. 888-97-WOOD. I was getting a lot of comments on this. Now, you don't have to be from Casper to get in on this. It's just, in general, a conversation about taxes for local things. So you're talking about that penny tax, which local governments have the right to ask you, but they have to ask you. And I just read a whole bunch of things that Casper wants, which would be on November ballot. And people in Casper get to vote on this as to whether they want that penny for those things or not. All right, so I'm okay with, hey, we need a new fire station. Although I would like to see the books, because oftentimes government way overspends on something like this. So I'd like to know that you're getting the right kind of fire station without overspending on it, but a good fire station. Need 911 services, need an upgrade or something like that? I'd like to see what you're talking about. Why does that cost $5 million? I don't know. I'm asking the question. I'd like to know, because I'm very suspicious about how government spends money. When it comes to, we need a fast-pitch baseball field. No, you don't. Anybody who wants to play fast-pitch softball is what it is, then they can go ahead and raise the money themselves and work the land themselves, and the taxpayers should not be involved in it. Same thing when it comes to Hogan on ski. Government should not own a ski slope somewhere or a golf course. But that's the libertarian in me. All right, so Frank is in Casper. He says, I believe that Casper has a duty to consider all of Natrona County residents in something like this. Let's see. Jones and Casper, I would cut 50% of all city spending by cutting all non-residents. Rick, I see your Rick is in Greeley, Colorado. I'll get to your comment in a bit. It is not on topic. But okay, so you see the general idea. Now again, what I say is, as more of the libertarian guy, I am really a tightwad with the people's money. And what is the proper role of government? What should government do and be involved in? That's why when it comes to, well, we have the ice arena and we want to put a second level of ice. Why do you have an ice arena? For government? No, that's a private sector thing. To me, that's the same as yesterday I was driving out, was it yesterday? This weekend. I was driving out toward the airport, and I looked over and went, here's a roller rink. You know, I can't remember the last time I went to a roller rink. There's a roller rink out there. Wow. So a roller rink, imagine it being owned and run by the government, your local government. Yeah, in which case I would say, well, hell no. Absolutely not. So should they have an ice skating rink? Well, no to that, too. Judy is in Casper about the 1 cent tax. Say, Judy. Okay, hang on a second. That's here. Hold on, Judy. Stop talking for just a minute. Try that button again. Okay, you there?
Yeah.
I got you now. Better? Go ahead.
Okay, let's not forget that if you vote for any of those, they get them all.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have the county that's going to do the 1 mil levy, 1 to 2 mil levy for the senior citizens home or center downtown.
Right.
That's going to cook out to about $1.7 million for them when they've been nonprofit and generating their own money since they began. Now all of a sudden we got to start paying them to stay alive. Well, I got a girlfriend that goes over there all the time, and she tells me every day there's like 7 people there for their morning exercises or eating lunch or any of that. So I don't know what the $1 million is for, but it sure as hell ain't for the citizens. And that was a Pat Sweeney got that on the ballot by kissing one of our county commissioners' butts and getting 3 of them guys to say, oh, what a great idea. So now we got on top of Casper's deal. Then we're going to have the mill levy. We've had the property tax. We've got the energy tax, electric tax, I mean. Then you've got fishing, camping, hunting, fees for building, and all of that. I don't know where these people think we are and what our population is. We're like 50,000 people, but they're taxing us like we're 5 million.
Okay.
So I wouldn't give them another dime on anything. Nothing. Zero.
The problem I have mainly is when they try to bundle all of this together. Because there's a few things they put in there like, hey, we need to take a look at that fire station. Oh, okay, I'm happy to take a look at a fire station. That's a good thing. Yeah. But but you have to bundle that in next to, we need a fast-pitch softball field. If I vote for one, I have to vote for the other? I don't think so.
Yes. Yep, that's what they're doing. That's how they do it. That's why we have on our city council, like that Pollock, I think her name is.
Yeah.
She was under Nell before he got run off. Between her and the other 5 on there, Lisa Burridge and all of those guys, they don't give a damn about Casper. All they care about is how to make money for the city so they can continue building their little business parks that ain't got nobody in them. And we get to foot the bill for all of the cement work, all of the fiber optic lines, and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. It's a racket. These guys are racketeering is what they're doing.
All right. Thank you, Judy. See, I don't think that they're racketeering. I think these people really have the best interest in mind. Let's put a business park together. No, I like your idea of a business park. I think it's a good idea. But it should be a private sector thing because I don't like the way government runs things, often at a loss. Jeff in Casper, like it or not, the city operates the recreation center in Hoganon. You can say you don't think government should own these things, but they do, so shouldn't the government maintain them? My answer is I'd like them to get rid of them. No, honestly, Jeff, I would like the government to get rid of them. I would like to get them, try to sell Hoganon. If you can't, let it go. Try to sell the rec center to some private company. If you can't, let it go. 742 Wake Up Point.
Got something to say? Call 888-97-WOODS or chat with Glenn on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app from K2 Radio.
7:46 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk today. Weather with Don Wansel in for Don Day. So we have a big change up today. It looks like it's already getting cloudy where I am.
Yeah, we got a lot of clouds moving up from the southwest, a part of our storm system that's drifting in from the western United States, affecting the Central Plains and Rockies today. Parts of the western valleys have already gotten some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some storm cells moving into southwestern Wyoming and areas along and east of I-25. It's a marginal to slight risk threat, but there will be some strong storms producing some strong wind gusts today.
Okay, strong storms. Are these going to be rain producers because we need the rain?
There will be some brief heavier showers, especially in the far eastern plains, but I think it's going to be more of a wind threat in the central and northeastern areas. So we got some wildfires out there, and that doesn't necessarily bode well for that.
Now, on that note, when I was looking at the wind forecast for the next few days, and when I get to tomorrow, especially, it looks like, or is it the next day, the wind picks up quite a bit, and especially on the eastern side of the state.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of that is actually going to start probably after midnight tonight as the main storm system continues to lift towards northern Wyoming, I-90, and Montana. On the backside of that system, we're going to have tight pressure difference and southwest winds basically from the Lander Foothill, South Pass, Shoshone, Casper towards Douglas, I-25 areas. Could get some strong wind gusts, 50 and 60 miles an hour, and the wind-prone sections of I-80 as well.
Yeah, okay. Not something the firefighters wanted to hear. Now, this, though, is some good news after that. It looks like everything calms down and, for the first time in a while, really cools down.
Yeah, it's Thursday and Friday. We're going to be settled. We're going to be in between systems. And weak high pressure in the southern plains will bring sunshine. Temps pretty comfortable as we get ready to close out the summer season, and there's a potential for maybe even another drop in those temps this weekend.
All right. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Don Wansel with Day Weather. Head on over there to Frank. I'm having a computer problem here, so those wonderful intros that you love so much, I can't really do them.
Well, we'll just go.
Yeah, there you go. Make some that kind of stuff. I'll do that when it comes time. All right. And I did want to talk to you because you're the ones who keep an eye on this thing. Let's go back to UW real quick here. In the 3 games that you've seen, what do you think they need to do?
Execute better. If you're practicing these plays all week,
right,
you have to, and doing it well, evidently, in practice, you need to do them in the game.
Right.
And everything is interchangeable. It's not like one person in football. It's there could be 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 11 guys on the field. They all need to contribute. Execute what you have practiced. Unless they have not practiced very good at all.
Right.
And since those practices are closed, you never know what they look like. So you've been at this since the first week of August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear ticking going on.
Let's go here.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially when they have the ball. Come on, let's go. You've been at this for weeks now.
So do you think? In fact, I was talking to Miss Mary about something similar. We all get brain freeze sometime on certain things. And there are some things I would like to be good at, but when I try to do it, I get brain freeze. Like, I'm not good at that. Yeah. In theory, I understand what's going on. In practice, I'm duh. But okay, so is that something where in practice they're doing really well, but they get out on the field there and something's just causing brain freeze?
There has to be something that we're missing here.
Okay.
And the coaches probably can coach better. The players can play better, obviously. And it's not, sometimes this hype train ruins everything.
Okay.
And you see it in athletics and, we're going to be in, this and that. And, whoa, everyone relax and let this play out. Is Wyoming any good right now? No.
Yeah.
They may not be good for the rest of the year.
Okay.
They may turn this around this week and kick North Texas's butt.
From your mouth to the coach's ears. And the quarterback, by the way, who I understand you were talking about him being pretty good, so he's got to bring his team together, I guess.
Well, he's been not very good at all.
Well, I mean in practice.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? We don't. The practices are closed. You never even know.
Yeah.
What they're doing. I would say this: if they're not getting the productivity from their quarterback spot that they need to make a change.
Right.
That's just the way it is. Will the second guy be as good as the first guy? No, but sometimes different eyes, a different personality brings some fire.
Okay.
They got to do something, or people are going to be going, you know what?
Yeah.
When does basketball start? Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
All right. College football, the Wyoming Cowboys will try it again this Saturday. They'll travel to Denton, Texas to meet North Texas. The Pokes are 0-3 after that 20-point loss to BYU, and it has been painful so far for UW, especially on offense. Cowboy defense last week against BYU, they were probably on the field way too long due to limited production from the offense, and Cougar quarterback Jake Retzloff was 22 of 36 for 291 yards and 3 touchdown passes, plus he ran for 62. These are the kind of numbers Wyoming needs from the QB spot. BYU at 458 yards of offense and Wyoming at 217. That says it all. Now, North Texas is 2-1. Last week they were drilled by Texas Tech 66-21. The Mean Green is favored by 9 points in the game, and that's a 5 p.m. kickoff from Denton. On Saturday. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Also in college football, the American Athletic Conference, the same league that North Texas plays in, is reportedly eyeing the Air Force Academy from the Mountain West Conference. The AAC already has 14 schools, but Army and Navy are in the league, and that will be certainly appealing to the Air Force. Mountain West needs to do something quickly. They're losing teams left and right, it seems like. Colorado State, Boise State, San Diego State, and Fresno State will join the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 or whatever it is starting in 2026. In Division I college volleyball, the Wyoming Cowgirls lost 2 out of 3 in the University of Colorado tournament. In Boulder, they lost to Cal in 4 sets, UC Irvine in 5 sets, but defeated CU in 3 sets. Cowgirls are 6-2, and they will host their own tournament this week in Laramie. Coppin State on Thursday, Albany on Friday, Utah on Saturday. Junior college volleyball, Casper College 2-14 on the year after losses to Dodge City, Kansas, New Mexico Junior College, Odessa College, and Utah State Eastern in the Northeastern Colorado tournament in Sterling last weekend. Birds have lost 9 straight matches, 3-0. They'll host NJC on Friday at the Erickson Gym and host Miles City on Saturday afternoon. The LCCC volleyball team from Cheyenne 5-11 after losing 3 of 4 in that tournament in Sterling. Golden Eagles did beat Indian Hills, Iowa in 5 sets, and they were rated 10th in the country. Then they lost to number 15 New Mexico Junior College, Dodge City, Kansas, and Barton, Kansas. LCCC will host NJC on Thursday in Cheyenne. That's it in sports.
Okay. So who are they playing again on Saturday?
North Texas.
Is it a home game?
No.
No, okay.
It's in Denton, Texas.
So all the way to Denton, Texas.
Which is just north of Fort Worth.
Okay. All right.
You fly over the state when you fly into the airport at DFW, you fly right over their stadium.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah, you would know that.
Yes, I do.
I'm looking for other things when I'm flying over.
Well, I look for football stadiums and golf courses.
I like to look at people's backyards to see what kind of junk they have in it.
Well, they mostly have pools.
Did they have a pool? Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I look for airports, too. But that's my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. Open phones in the 8 o'clock hour, too. Wake up, Wyoming. Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's Tuesday. See, I'm still struggling with this. Why does it take me too long? At least it's not a Monday. I'm sticking with that one for a while. Okay, so just so you know, the usual stuff that I like to play at the opening of an hour, there's several computers I have, and the stuff that has all of that on it is the computer's having a problem. So what I'll do when this computer finally gets up and running is transfer everything to the other computer. So if one goes down, the other's always running. But this one's just today deciding to have some problems. It is open phones at this point. So 888-97 Woods the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Talk about what I'm talking about, change the subject. And there's also all sorts of people who text me while I'm on the air. You can use your Wake Up Wyoming app, which is free to download at your app store. Just hit the chat option and send me a text message. Now, I'm going to review something that I was talking about last hour. This doesn't necessarily have to be if you live someplace else. That's okay, because this has to do with every municipality in Wyoming. I'm going to touch on this, and if you want to chime in on it, then I'm going to move to another subject. So this has to do with the city of Casper wanting another penny sales tax, and they have a list of items, and they're bundling those items. So if you vote for one, you voted for them all. Now, I did get a note, because I do remember this from Cheyenne. Rick in Cheyenne says, I believe all 6 pennies Cheyenne wants to be independent line items for the ballot. Yeah, Cheyenne did have a problem a while ago when they tried to get a bunch of stuff passed, and they would bundle them. So, I mean, for example, we need a fire station. Well, who's going to vote against a fire station, right? But then next to that, they put in something you would never vote for. Yeah, and that's where people have a problem. So a lot of these items I wouldn't mind. A lot of them I don't like. And I would have line items on these, not bundling. Because when I look at this, I would vote no on the entire package because they have a bunch of stuff in there that I don't want the city doing. Now, depending on where you live in Wyoming is depend on how they handle this. So, okay, they want to raise your tax a bit. Now, before I get into this again, understand how I run this program. I am opening the topic for discussion. I'm telling you what I think, and then you can chime in and agree or disagree with me, and that's fine. I'm not going to give anyone a hard time because I disagree with them. I'm starting the discussion, and you can go ahead and jump in. So on their penny, which would be voted on finally in November, reconstruction of the Metro Animal Shelter. We can have a debate about whether that should be privatized or not. I'm the libertarian guy. Okay, so as the libertarian guy, I'm going to be much more of a tightwad than most of you. A fire station, $4.4 million, I would love to see. And that's supposed to be a reduced price. I would love to look at the books to see why it's $4.4 million, but I'm not opposed to a fire station. Second sheet of ice on the Casper Ice Arena. Government has no business owning an ice arena. Hoggadon chairlift replacement. Government should not own Hoggadon. They should try to sell it to a private company. If a private company can't buy it, shut it down. I'm also against government owning golf courses. 911 dispatch. $5 million is what they need to upgrade it. I'm in favor of 911. Why $5 million is my question. Auxiliary gym at the rec center. Government should not own a rec center. That's private industry. Washington Park baseball park band shell reconstruction. That's private industry. Again, I know a lot of people disagree with me on that one. Fast pitch softball field, $4 million. No, absolutely. Government should not be involved in owning things like that. Let private entities do it. That's the libertarian of me. You tell me what you think. So Michelle is in Cheyenne. You got a TV show filming there? Let me see if she's here. Michelle, are you there? Okay, double checking my buttons here, making sure that's all set up, and I don't think I have her, so I'm going to head over to Chet, who's in Yoder. Hello, Chet. Okay, Chet's got to be there, too. Hang on a second.
It just
there you go. I got. Hey, Chet, start from the beginning again, will you? Okay, I had a problem here. Go ahead.
You know what really irritates me and should a whole lot of other people is when they implement a tax, voted in or whatever, to build somebody a business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's a person or a company, why in the world would we pay taxes to buy them another business, which they already have?
I got his head hit the dump button on you there. Watch the language, Chet. But, okay.
Yeah, I know.
So I do, I see what you mean, because these, to me, a lot of what I just mentioned here are private entities and shouldn't be run by government. So if somebody would like to do it, absolutely, go raise the funding and go do it. Don't turn to government because it's easy money. And government has no business running a business.
Well, down here, they wanted a tax to build a man a hotel.
Yeah.
And he's got money to build a hotel.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
That's ridiculous. Okay, that's all.
I get it. I think I got you this time. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, my name's Michael.
Oh, Michael. It looks like Michelle to me the way it was written here. It's probably Michael. I'm probably reading it wrong. Hi, Michael. Sorry about that. What you got for me?
That's okay. You guys were announcing some events and stuff that were going this weekend in Cheyenne, and I wanted to kind of like remind people that the Lamp Lounge in Cheyenne, Wyoming is under new management and ownership.
Okay.
And they've brought in a group called Jokers and Jesters, and they're filming their Amazon Prime comedy tour at their bar.
Oh, nice. Okay. So people
are looking to do something this Saturday, the 21st.
Yeah.
I think they have tickets for $10. I think they have a few left. And you can come in, sit at their lounge and stuff, and they have the Joker and Jesters comedy tour coming the 21st, this Saturday. And I think they are filming it for like their Amazon Prime video.
Okay. That sounds like a good time. So they need to be when for this?
Saturday. It starts at 7 o'clock. They finish ticket sales, I think they said 6. So that way it's going to be a private showing. So those only people that have tickets will be able to come in and see the show. So
okay.
If you contact the Lamp Lounge, and I think they only have like maybe 18 tickets left. So I think if you call them and kind of get your tickets arranged, that you can get in and sit in and have a great comedy show and maybe be on TV.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. I was getting a little dyslexic with his name there. You don't understand dyslexic? It's basically dyslexia. So, okay, I really would agree with Chet in Yoder on this. But again, you tell me if I'm wrong, because I read that list of things as to what government should and shouldn't be doing. In my opinion, government has no business running a business. That's what I think. But you tell me if I'm wrong about that. So when I see things like, well, we need fast-pitch baseball, or on a state level, we need to open up that really professional shooting range so we can get into competitions. I think it's a great idea. Let's get private companies to go open. The Hogan ski resort there. Well, if a ski resort is not owned by a private company, then let it go out of business. Again, I'm more of the libertarian guy. And I do there was one comment I got here. Well, they do own it. The city does own it. Yeah, that's what I have a problem with, is that the city does. So I would, again, try to sell it to somebody who can run it or shut it down. But I'm also against government running golf courses, too. Government should be in the business of governing, and private enterprise in the business of private enterprise. That's why I'm opposed to a lot of what's on that list right there. But it's up to the people of Casper to figure that out. If they want these things, if they like all of these things and they want to vote for the tax, they're going to go ahead and do it, and it's completely their business. 8:15, Wake Up Wyoming.
Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Make your voice heard at 888-97-WOODS. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
8:19 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Pardon me if I'm struggling a little bit here. Still having a little bit of computer issues, but I'm working on it. So one of the discussions I'm having on the tax issue and what is the proper role of government is with Jeff, who's saying, I get what you're saying, Glenn. Now, Jeff, you owe me a second letter N. There's two N's in my name. It's not Glenn, it's Glenn. You hear a difference here? It's like, just all you got to do is type the letter N and send it to me, and I'll put it in there. That's all you got to do. Okay, so I know what you're saying, Glenn, about government owning and operating things they shouldn't, but rec centers and places for citizens to use are operated by municipalities all over the country. Well, let me pause you right there before I read the next part of it. I know that they are, but they shouldn't be, so we should stop it. Just because a municipality is doing it and because municipalities all over the country own rec centers doesn't mean that it's right for them to do it. And so that's one of the things I would get rid of. There's a lot of things that government's involved in that it has no business being involved in, and so it should be stopped. But he goes on to say, I just think they should maintain them since they operate them. And my answer is I think they should sell them or close them down. Oftentimes these things operate at a massive loss. Let me give you an example. Let's go to Gillette, Wyoming. So some years ago in Gillette, they decided to build a rec center. Now, already in Gillette, there were several gyms that were operating. So you can go ahead and what kind of gym would depend on how much money you wanted to spend. I mean, there were some gyms that were really big and expensive. Some were really small things, but they were gyms. So you want to go work out? Oh, boy. Many different options out there. There was even a hotel that if you go into the hotel, they have a water park area. So it's an indoor water park at a hotel. And it is open to be used by the people of Gillette. So you don't have to be staying at the hotel. You can go there and pay a few bucks if you're a resident and use the indoor water park. Okay, so they decided in Gillette to go ahead and build a rec center. And, man, did they build a big place. And it has tennis and not just a pool, but a water park-style pool. A lot of other things going on. Track upstairs, weight room, all sorts of things. Beautiful place. And then because it was heavily subsidized, it was expensive to build. Because it was heavily subsidized, they were able to undercut the prices of all of the local gyms and the hotel water park thing. In which case, local businesses started to complain to the city, are you trying to put us out of business? You build this massive, beautiful facility, and then you undercut us on the price so people go to you instead of us, private businesses. Are you trying to put us out of business? Now, I do think, I can't remember the resolution for that. I thought maybe they changed their prices so they weren't doing so much damage to local businesses, was the last I heard. But this has been a few years, so I could be wrong about that. But I looked at it and thought, really, why did Gillette build a big rec center? To compete with businesses that were already doing those things? I mean, you want to go work out somewhere, there's already places doing it. Why are you competing with the private sector? Don't. Right. So if your local municipality has gone ahead and built a rec center or purchased other places like this, they need to sell them to somebody who will maintain them or just get rid of them. And let private industry do these things. If there's a need, if there are people out there who want to go to a gym and work out, trust me, somebody will see the need, and they'll go ahead and open up a business. And in places all over Wyoming, big towns, small towns, there's gyms all over the place. There's recreation centers all over the place, privately owned. So get them out of the hands of government. Government has no business doing business. They are to do the business of government. They're not supposed to own a private business. And there's a lot of things on the list that I see that Casper wants, which I think, and that's what private business should be doing, which is another reason I know your argument. I understand the argument that I hear from people out there. But doesn't government own golf courses all over the place? They do. And I don't think any city or county should own a golf course. It's a private business. And let it run privately. And if they can't, let it go out of business. And there are some cases where a private golf course was doing just fine, but a local municipality insisted on purchasing it so they could run it. Well, again, that's more of the libertarian in me. Government should not be in the business of doing business. For those people who are on the city council or the county commission, you want to own stuff like that? You think that your town needs something like that? Absolutely. Get together with your buddies and go ahead and open that. Keep the taxpayers out of it. All right. Philip is in Casper. I agree with you, Glenn. Government should try fixing our streets before they are hitting fast pitch. Which, thanks for the conversation, Glenn. I appreciate it. I appreciate the conversation too, Jeff. But now you owe me 2 letter N's because you spelled my name twice now with 1 N in it. You know what I'm doing here? So just text me 2 letter N's and I'll go ahead and place it in there. Anyway, I don't have a problem with these things being in the community. It's just who's supposed to be in charge of it. So I'm going to run the list one more time, and then you just tell me if you agree with me or disagree with me on this. And I don't mind if you do one way or the other. This is why we're voting on this. That's why I said this is how I run the program. I'm starting the conversation and telling you what I think. You tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. So here's the list that the city has. Reconstruction of the Metro Animal Shelter. Now, that is either you think that should be run, an animal shelter should be run by government, or you think because I do think we need animal shelters, or is that something that's to be done by private entities, as in it's a charitable thing? Fire stations. We need fire stations. Government should run fire stations. I do have a question about why they need $4.4 million, and they do say that's reduced from the original cost. I don't know. I would like to see why they think it's $4.4 million. They might be wrong about the price. They might be right. Second, sheet of ice at the Casper Ice Arena. I don't want the city owning an ice arena any more than I want a city owning a roller rink. There's a roller rink in town. What if the owners of the roller rink decided to retire? Does the city Casper buy the roller rink and run it themselves? I don't think they should. Nor do I think they should own an ice arena. Hogan on chairlift. I don't think a city should own a ski resort. 911 dispatch. Definitely needed. Now they want $5 reduced from original cost, $5 million, to upgrade, I believe, the dispatch. Now that might be a right price. I don't know. I'd like to see why does it cost $5 million. It might. But I'm very skeptical about how they spend money. Auxiliary gym at the rec center. No, government should not own a rec center. Washington Park band shell reconstruction. The more I think about it, the more I think I like their band shell. I like that. It's a place where they have concerts in a park, and I really do like that. But I'm also in favor of there's plenty of venues around where people do concerts already. There's some old movie theaters in Casper that have been changed into concert venues, which I think is a great idea. Let me see. Finally, the one that I'm definitely not in favor of, fast pitch softball field, $4 million. $4 million for fast pitch softball fields. No, absolutely not. Stevens in Casper, the city that ran the last metro into the dirt, if as a citizen treated animals like they do, I would be thrown in jail forever. Oh, okay. Oh, good. Jeff sent me 2 letter N's. Perfect, Jeff. Thank you. I'll insert them into my name, and we'll call that good. Coming up on 8:30, local news coming your way. After local news update on the weather forecast, and you and I get back into it again. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Wake up, Wyoming.
Monday morning.
If it's happening in Wyoming, it's on Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods from K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. All right, I'm skipping over to another topic. If you want to jump back to this, that's fine. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. So, now again, since that one computer went down, I can't play my normal intro for this, and it's just killing me. Because I love to play the minimum wage song when I talk about something with minimum wage in it. And this is about Chipotle, which, by the way, I love Chipotle. That's one of the places when I'm looking for decent food that's actually good for me, I'll go there. And I'm not doing a commercial for them. I'm just saying that's one of the places I really love. They have a new line of robots in California after the California $20 minimum wage. Chipotle Mexican Grill. Oh, by the way, what I do, when I go to Chipotle, they have these bowls they're like edible bowls. Yeah, they basically take the same tortilla wrap, and I've seen them do this. It's fascinating to watch. They put it in a bowl-shaped thing, and they drop it in the deep fryer for like a split second, and it hardens up into this really nice, crispy bowl that's edible. So I get brown rice, I get some black beans, some grilled chicken, and I'll go ahead and put this. They have this nice mild sauce on it that I like. A little bit of cheese. They got some, they have this thing in there. It's a mixture of corn and some other stuff in there that's really good. And all of that just goes into this bowl. And I mix it up with just a little bit of sour cream. And that's a decent meal. And when I'm done, the dessert is the bowl. Love Chipotle. All right, so they announced they're piloting an automatic avocado peeler and pit remover at one California location, and an automatic bowl and salad machine at another. That's the bowl that I was just telling you about, as a way to help deal with the $20 an hour minimum wage at California. Well, California voted idiotic. We're going to make sure that restaurant employees working at fast food places get $20 an hour. And look what it's done. Several of those places have closed down completely, even some of the big chains. Other places, people are making minimum or $20 an hour, but there's hardly as many people working there anymore, as so many things that they used to do with employees is now automated. Earlier this year, Chipotle raised its prices in California to make up for that $20 an hour minimum wage. So there's the next thing. They had to raise their prices. So they're letting employees go and raising their prices. Does this sound like it's good for the economy or good for anybody? We're going to make sure that these employees get $20 an hour. Okay, now half of Chipotle's employees are no longer working there, and the customers are now paying quite a bit more to pay for the same food, to pay for that rate increase, which means it's going to slow business down. All right, here we go. This is a quote. These robotic devices can help us build a stronger operation that delivers a great experience for our team members. God, this sounds like propaganda. And our guests while maintaining Chipotle's high culinary standards, said Kirk Gardner, Chief Customer and Technology Officer at Chipotle, in a statement. In other words, they're chief propagandists. Optimizing our use of these systems and incorporating crew and customer feedback are the next steps in the stage gate process before determining their broader pilot plans. Boy, again, this guy is in charge of propaganda, obviously. So Chipotle says it invested $100 million, that's a lot, across two companies making specialized robots for its stores. So it's worth spending $100 million to them over the raise when you consider how many stores that they have. Hang on a second. Trying to restart that computer again. That's giving me a problem. There we go. Let's see what happens. And while estimating savings for the automatic bowl and salad maker were not shared, it's likely the savings are in the same ballpark. Robots do not go on strike break or go on vacation and do not need to be hired or fired or trained. This is why I was saying a while ago, I started a company basically, and you can invest in this. Don't invest in the companies like Chipotle, I'm sorry to say. Instead, invest in companies that make robotics. Because of higher minimum wage, things like in California, those are the companies that are going to make the big money. Hang on a second. Trying again. There we go. Trying to restart a computer that give me a hard time. While estimates for savings, let's see, as government mandates higher wages for corporations like Chipotle, they're pouring in significant capital into reducing their labor needs. But business leaders say small businesses tend to lack the capital to do all. See, the big companies can go ahead and bring in all the robotics. What do the smaller companies do? And in many cases, these smaller companies have just gone out of business. A lot of smaller fast food chains are just gone in California because of this. So, quote, it must be a nice luxury for larger businesses to have the capital and wherewithal to accommodate and adjust, but businesses, 99.2% being small businesses, do not have that luxury, says John Kettenbeck, California Director of National Freedom Independent Business, a national small business advocacy group, to the Center Square, which is the media company writing the Center Square. They are left holding the bag and being forced to shut their doors or lay off people. And now that's not an economic theory. That's what's happening. I remember when this started, when all of this started with it started with the $15 an hour minimum wage. Now it's $20 an hour minimum wage. And people like me and a lot of you out there were saying, don't do it. We know what's going to happen. And we told them what was going to happen, but they said that's garbage. Of course not. So they raised the minimum wage anyway. And then it started to happen. But if you listen to the governor of California, he's in denial that what I'm telling you right now is happening at all. Oh, they're not closing doors. They're not laying off businesses. Yes, they are. In an earlier interview with Center Square, they noted the small businesses not subject to fast food minimum wage nonetheless often have to pay it as they compete for the same pool of entry-level workers. In August, California Governor Gavin Newsom said fast food employment is at record levels, citing a record 750,500 jobs in July of 2024. This is one of these guys who lives in completely another world, not reality. I mean, completely, he lives in another world. Nothing real going on here. I don't know where he got those numbers from, but that's not what's happening. As business, some of these businesses in California have just closed. Some of them have just gone to other states. And many of them are trying automating things to get rid of all of these employees, to find what they think is a cheaper way to do it. So thanks a lot. Really appreciate it, guys. Okay, I got to take this call kind of quick. This is Kurt and Casper. Hi, Kurt.
Hey, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Judy keeps telling everybody that the plan is to have to pay that whole $35 million if you vote for any of those.
Mm-hmm.
That is not true. That's not even how they produced it to the county.
Okay, how did they do it?
I was there at the meeting, and they said specifically that it's going to be whatever is voted for is all that's going to have to be paid if they only vote for, let's say the band shell.
Right.
That's the least expensive thing on the list, and according to the way they've got it calculated, it's only going to take like 1 month to pay for it.
Okay.
So you pay that tax for 1 month. Now,
right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not in favor of this at all because the county residents don't get to vote on it.
Right.
But that was caused by the small municipalities, Midwest, Barnum, Hemsville, and Mills, not being able to agree to have it put on the ballot. So that's why it did not go countywide.
Okay. But you're, yeah. Okay. So let me look into how exactly this is going to appear on the ballot so I can make sure I'm getting all the details right on this. But yeah, there's a lot of things in there I would not vote for.
Each one is an individual proposal.
Okay.
You vote for each one or not.
Or not.
You can vote for none of them, or you can vote for one of them, or any combination thereof.
Any combination. I do appreciate. I got to run for time's sake, but thank you, Kurt. I will go look into that.
But the ice sheet, we have an extra ice sheet up at the event center.
Yeah.
Why don't we use that?
That'd be a good idea. All right. Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate it. Wake Up Wyoming.
He's talking to a room, and you could be the voice in his head. Join the conversation on Wake Up Wyoming, 866-97-WOODS.
8:49 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming off. We go to the ice box where Frank Gambino is waiting by. Okay, Frank, I just saw this. It popped up in front of me, and I think we could probably come up with a list. Ready?
All righty, a list. A short list, long list?
Well, apart from life is short.
It is.
What other lines do you use before making a bad decision?
What other? Oh, well, maybe no one will notice.
That's one. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got several there. I thought you would have more.
Oh, no. The other one would be, it can't be that bad.
Can't be that bad. How hard could it be?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I would think we could probably come up with a good...
Or the other one is, I do have insurance.
Yeah, okay. I do have insurance, yeah. Nobody's looking. Who's going to know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. You only live once.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Don't tell my family.
Don't tell Mom.
Oh, no. No.
That's probably one of the biggest ones. In fact, my oldest niece had a baby, just a cute kid. He's like 2 now, and I got to get him a T-shirt that says "Don't tell Mom."
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm supposed to be wearing the T-shirt. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
It would be a nice pairing.
Yes. Okay.
Kind of thing, yeah.
So computer's still down. So.
All right, here we go. In Division I college volleyball, the Wyoming Cowgirls lost 2 out of 3 in the University of Colorado tournament in Boulder over the weekend. They lost to Cal in 4 sets, UC Irvine in 5 sets, and defeated CU in 3 sets. Cowgirls are 6-2, and they will host their own tournament this weekend. Laramie meeting Coppin State on Thursday, Albany on Friday, and Utah on Saturday. Junior college volleyball, the LCCC volleyball squad from Cheyenne 5-11 after losing 3 out of 4 in the NJC tournament in Sterling. The Golden Eagles did beat Indian Hills, Iowa in 5 sets, and they're ranked 10th in the country. They lost to number 15 New Mexico Junior College, Dodge City, Kansas, and Barton, Kansas. LCCC will host NJC on Thursday. Casper College, the defending Region 9 champions, have really had a tough stretch. They are 2-14 on the year after losses to Dodge City, Kansas, New Mexico Junior College, Odessa College, and Utah State Eastern in that NJC tournament in Colorado over the weekend. The T-Birds have lost 9 straight matches, 3 sets to none. They'll host NJC on Friday at the Erickson Gym and then host Miles City on Saturday afternoon. College football, the Wyoming Cowboys will try it again on Saturday. They'll travel to Texas to meet North Texas in Denton. Cowboys are 0-3 after a 20-point loss to BYU, and it has been painful so far, especially on offense. Cowboy defense last week against BYU probably was on the field way too long thanks to limited production from the offense. Cougar quarterback Jake Retzloff had 22 completions out of 36 attempts for 291 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He also ran for 62. Those are the kinds of numbers Wyoming needs from their quarterback. BYU with 458 yards of offense, and Wyoming had just 217. North Texas is 2-1. They were drilled by Texas Tech last week, 66-21. The Mean Green is favored by 9 in the game. That is a 5 p.m. kickoff from Denton. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Also in college football, the American Athletic Conference, the same league that North Texas plays in, reportedly has been eyeing the Air Force Academy from the Mountain West Conference. The AAC already has 14 schools, but they also have Army and Navy, which would be appealing to the Air Force. Mountain West needs to figure some things out quick. They're losing Colorado State, Boise State, Fresno State, and San Diego State to the Pac-12 or the Pac-2, whatever it is, starting in 2026. There may be nobody left, so they better start finding some schools. That's it in sports.
Okay. So they're already looking for schools? No, wait.
Well, they have to. They're going to lose 4 in 2 years.
Okay.
And they may lose another one, maybe 5. You got to the college athletics sometimes it just defies logical explanation.
It really does. And by the way, whatever happens is we still need to have our border wars.
Yeah,
that can't go away.
I think CSU is it's all up to them.
Yeah,
and I think they want to continue it.
Yeah,
it was what the written reports.
Make it a side game.
Just between us.
No, they'll play.
Yeah.
I think CSU wants to play, and I know Wyoming does.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we have to take care of. I'm going to roll into news time after that national local update on the weather forecast, and then you and I get back into it with another nice segment of open phones. 888-97 Woods, the phone number. 888-97-WOODS. Wake up, Wyoming.
Good morning.
.06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. 888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. My name's Glenn Woods. So I'm just going to pick up on and expand a little bit on the subject we were talking about because I think it's interesting. I have a lot of national and Wyoming topics I could talk about, but this had to do with Wyoming taxes. Now, I focused on Casper for a while there. I know other municipalities around the state have had the same discussion about raising a penny tax for this or that or how they do it. And my own always is, what is the proper role of government? Let me take this national for you real quick, because I think it's important that we do look at this on a national level as well. What is the proper role of government? And what should they be doing? I get really annoyed, and I'm a pretty even keel, emotionally kind of guy, but this annoys me. Every time I hear people talk about government creating jobs. So let's focus on the president. Well, the president created this many jobs. President didn't create diddly squat. He didn't create any private sector jobs. Now, a government can get in the way of job creation. That's for sure. And a government can certainly clear the way to make it easier for the entrepreneur to get out there and create jobs. But government does not create jobs. And nor should they. For the longest time here in America, government, especially on the federal side, but government in general, never touched the economy. It was never considered. Why would government be in charge of the economy? It was never considered to be a thing. It wasn't really till the Great Depression came along, and government, there was actually a huge stock market crash before the Great Depression. But the country bounced back quickly after that first one. And it wasn't really a problem. It was a big crash. A lot of bad things happened, but it was over with quickly. We're back up on our feet. Next time that happened, though, now we have a president and a federal government that wants to get involved and try to help the people out. And they extended the Great Depression. It lasted longer, and it was worse because government was involved in trying to fix it. So there's that, right? A lot of people think the World War II was the end of the Great Depression, and actually World War II made the Depression worse. Because remember what the economy is. The economy is production. It's not money, it's production. And during the war, we were destroying things. We destroyed Europe. We destroyed many Asian countries. And by we, I don't just mean the United States. All of us. Most of the world was at war. And we were destroying things. Any production here in the United States, we produced it and sent it overseas as weapons of war. And it got destroyed because that's what we do. With weapons of war, we send them off there to blow things up, destroy things. That's what they're for. And then after the war, a lot of stuff got destroyed. We don't need those weapons anymore, so let's destroy them. Then the economy started getting back on track again as we rebuilt after the war. That was the end of the Great Depression then. The Great Depression was especially bad during World War II in Europe. But does government create jobs? Well, if you're being hired for a government job, I guess okay. But there's so many government jobs that are nothing but a bunch of people sitting in cubicles. It used to be pushing pencils. Now they're typing on computer screens. And most of those jobs are useless and can go away. No, government doesn't create most jobs. There are some things they should do, police, fire, courts. Yeah, they can build some roads and bridges, but that's about it. It's not for your president to create jobs. or not create jobs for that. It just stay out of the way. What we do here in Wyoming is we do the best we can to make it easy. If a company moves to Wyoming, do the best we can to make it easy to do business in Wyoming. Now, on a state level, we do a pretty good job. There are some municipalities in Wyoming that really do a horrible job at it. They're not good at it at all. I have a friend of mine who owns a bar. I won't say who he is or where because I don't want to cause him any trouble, but he owns a bar. And all he wanted to do, the bar had a wall that went down the middle of it that split the bar in half. And it was actually just in the way. He wanted to open up the room. So to do it right, he went ahead and got a hold of the city and said, I want to go ahead and expand this out. So he goes to get the permits for it. And then the city shows up and says, if you're going to do that and you're going to be making improvements, you also have to do the following to your parking lots, and we need to see more vegetation around your building, and we also need to see, and we need to do this, you need to pull these permits. And he looked at me and said, if I had known they were going to do all of this, it's just a wall. It's not even a load-bearing wall. I would have just taken it down and not said anything, and most people would never notice. The city certainly wouldn't have known. But that's government getting involved in it. And in fact, in that same Wyoming city, I know several businesses that would have located to that city, but local city ordinances were so onerous, they decided, forget it, I'm not going to move here, I'm going to move somewhere else. I've seen that with several businesses in several different cities in Wyoming. Businesses that wanted to locate in one place, but it was just made such a hassle by the city, they moved to a different place. So government can definitely get in the way. And that's where I was also complaining earlier about government opening up businesses that compete with private sector businesses. That's one of the reasons that you hear me opposed to local rec centers. You already have, locally speaking, all sorts of gyms and other places people can go to recreate in all sorts of different ways. So government should not open up a competing business. It's not for them to do that. That's why I said I'm opposed to the idea. So your town it's owned by the city, an ice skating rink. Great. So when the owner of the roller rink wants to retire, do you buy up the roller rink and that's run by the city too? What is the job of the federal government? What are they doing that they shouldn't be doing? As far as running businesses, subsidizing businesses. Wind and solar is a big one, a big pet peeve of mine. But there's many businesses that government subsidizes while they're trying to put other businesses out of business. Trying to put oil, gas, and coal out of business while they subsidize wind and solar, which is not the proper role of government. It's not what they should be doing. All right. The government needs to stay out of business. Let the private sector do what it does. And you will see among the competition, you will see the best rise to the top. One of my favorite examples is the phone company. Now, there was a time, you're not going to believe me, but this is the true story. There was a time when government, your Congress, made a smart decision. I know, right? It happened at least once. The smart decision was this. The telephone company had become a monopoly. For those of you who remember Ma Bell, one telephone company, and it was a monopoly. And you can't really have a monopoly unless government is complicit. Then finally, members of Congress said, it's not supposed to be this way in America. So they your government split up Ma Bell into separate phone companies. And then said, anybody else who wants to start a phone company, you can do that. Go right ahead. So we went from the old dial-up phone, and you had two choices. The dial-up phone was going to be on your wall or on your desk. And you had two choices of colors. You want it white or black. Today, let's take a look at what the phone has become. And that's what happens when private sector runs something. And when a phone company needs to upgrade, they don't need to ask the taxpayers for more money. If it's a profitable company, they'll have the money to make the upgrades. It's those innovative companies who are making a profit who will drive the marketplace. Whereas, let's go back down to Casper, Wyoming. So they need to upgrade the ski lift at Haganon. So they're going to ask the taxpayers for money? Because if that was a successful private business, they wouldn't need to do that. They would already have the money. Okay. A successful business would already have the money to do it. Any business that's not successful, I guess they might be going out of business if they can't repair that. You see what I'm saying? Keep government out of it. They don't know how to run businesses. And that's, I think, a big part of it is government doesn't know on any level how to run a business. My favorite story, and some of you are listening to me right now and waiting for me to tell this story, so I'm going to tell it. The Mustang Ranch. There's a law on the federal level that says if, let's say, a company owes taxes and government is going to come in and take over the business to get that tax money. So they're going to just seize the business and and squeeze the tax money out of it. So here is, in Nevada, a brothel called the Mustang Ranch. They were having some tax issues. So government came in and seized the business. By law, that's a business, a legit business with employees, and they can't shut it down. They have to keep it running. That's the law. So for a short period of time, your government ran a brothel. Now you think about it. Booze and women in Nevada. And within about 6 months to a year, they were out of business. If your government cannot run a brothel, booze and women in Nevada, if they can't even run that, then why should we allow them to run anything else? Kent and Cheyenne. Now ranchers and farmers want to subsidize grass has lost to elk eating it, according to Cowboy State Daily. 917, Wake Up Wyoming.
Oh. Polish off that tin hat. You'll need it for this one. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Available on demand on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
9:23 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, so this next one I got up for you here, I'm going to have to be very delicate with this. But I can do this. I'm a professional. I am too. Don't look at your radio and laugh that way. Am too. Been doing this for a while. I got it. It's just got some delicate topics in here. But all right. I had several times a discussion with people about just the way we dress and appear in public and even at work. And so I remember when I was a kid, if we were to go on a flight on an airplane, we would all get dressed up because we're going on an airplane flight, so everybody got dressed up. When my mom would leave the house, she always put on nice clothes and did her makeup and hair and so on. It didn't matter where we were going because everybody got dressed up. That was their generation. And over time, that got more and more slack to the point that oftentimes I walk into a very professional office and I see the way people are dressing and I'm thinking, wow, we have sunk low, haven't we? And then some people have some major disagreements. I don't think we should necessarily have to wear a suit and tie, but can we at least look professional is my thought. And I don't mind the casual look at work. You know, I do that too. But at least look, the part. Look professional, right? Okay. Here's where I have to be careful. And especially showing up for job interviews, for Pete's sakes. Guys, shave. Get your hair cut. Put on a nice shirt, nice slacks. Look good. Smell good. Delta Airlines has to remind new flight attendants, or the hopefuls anyway who are applying for the job, that they have to wear underwear during the interview. Yeah, and no, sometimes it's just a matter of the lines that you see through the pants or the skirt is what they're talking about mainly, but okay. Well, and again, I can do this. I can be delicate about this. Delta Airlines has been forced to remind thousands of prospective flight attendants who are currently going through the Atlanta-based carrier's latest recruitment drive that they must wear proper undergarments that aren't visible in their interview. So it's not just wearing them, but also wear ones that aren't visible. So in other words, panty lines. But you got to wear something. You can't wear nothing. Right. They're being picky about that. By the way, the first stewardesses on planet Earth were trained in Cheyenne, Wyoming at that airport. That's where they invented the stewardess. All right, so the reminder was sent out in a leaked 2-page document entitled Appearance Requirements Acknowledgement, which explains in detail what candidates should look like when they turn up for an in-person assessment, as well as telling applicants proper undergarments must be worn but must not be visible. So you got to wear them. That's first thing. Well, some people will, how am I going to get rid of my panty lines? So they just wouldn't wear anything at all. Not acceptable. The documents also reminded potential new hire flight attendants they should not use profanity during their interview. I mean, come on. And chewing gum isn't permitted. So you're showing up for an interview or an assessment, and you're using foul language and chewing gum. Honestly. I mean, for me, this was something I learned back in school. I mean, when I was really young. But okay. Explaining why it is reminding applicants of how they should present themselves during an interview process. Delta tells lucky candidates who have made it this far in the recruitment process, quote, the customer service experience begins the moment a flight attendant puts on their uniform. The Delta uniform represents always putting safety first, pride, et cetera, et cetera. Some of you out there know you thought about, or maybe are thinking about the time when they had stewardesses wearing little itsy bitsy skirts. Remember that? Or hot pants. Yeah, they were trying to get guys to fly more by really getting the sexiest of stewardesses out there. So along with the underwear, Delta also has taken time to remind applicants they must maintain personal cleanliness and hygiene, fingernails clean, neat, trimmed, et cetera, et cetera. I look at this. I understand that maybe you want to put out something reminding people to do things like this, but on the other hand, you shouldn't have to remind them at all. As for hair, Delta says it must be natural looking and a natural looking hue. So in other words, a friend of mine calls it Kool-Aid hair. You know, when people do all sorts of different colors, no. You got to look natural. And then as far as speaking goes, well, they want basic Ivy League, maybe even standard American English is what they want. The things you have to tell people in the younger generation when they show up to apply for a job. AC in Hillsborough, off-track betting. New York has been run by the state, loses money big time. Wow. AT&T was broken up by a federal court in 1980 when the judge ruled it was a legal monopoly. Federal lawsuit, yes, providing. I do remember, Don and Laramie, I will get to what you're saying in just a minute. That's true, but then also Congress acted after that. But I'll get to that because that's an interesting topic. Also AC in Hillsborough. Wake up, Wyoming.
If it matters in Wyoming, it matters to Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods. Call Glenn at 888-97-WOODS and make your voice heard. AM 1030, K2 Radio.
Wake Up Wyoming, answering some of the notes people are texting me over the Wake Up Wyoming app. Sorry if I've had a little problems this morning. There is one of the computers that I use. Just give me a hard time. So things that I'd love to do with you guys, I can't this morning as I've been trying to get that fixed while I've been talking to you. And the fixes ain't working. So let me see. AC in Hillsborough, this is true. Off-track betting in New York has been run by the state and loses money. Yeah, and that's been a big time loses money. As with a lot of other government things, tries to take over. Hogan Ski Resort up above Casper was losing money, so the city bought it. And it's, as far as I know, it's still not making money. In order to fix the ski lift, they need to get money from the taxpayers. So if it's not making money, shut it down. Let it fail. That's part of what capitalism is. Something isn't working as a business model, let it fail. Don't subsidize it. All right. Don, you're right, but I want to add to what you were saying. So Don in Laramie says AT&T was broken up by federal court in 1980 when a judge ruled that it was an illegal monopoly in a lawsuit brought by MCI, a Texas company providing radio telephone services to truckers, which is true. But it was after that where I was referring to, Don, that Congress jumped in because there are anti-monopoly laws. And if AT&T is going to break up, what's that going to look like? And so essentially what between the courts and Congress and the president, what they worked out was AT&T got split up into different regions. So the one phone company became a bunch of regional phone companies. But they also allowed it and changed some laws, changed some rules in Congress to set it up so anybody that wanted to start a phone company could just start a phone company. So that's where the congressional involvement got in it. But you're right, though. It did start with a lawsuit. And I'm glad that they did that. So let me see. Jim in Casper says, always has, it will never be profitable to have. Oh, yeah, he's speaking about Hoganon. To make Hoganon profitable, very difficult to do. They don't even have snow up there, for that matter. It's been very difficult. So while I appreciate the idea of a ski resort up on Casper Mountain, the company that built it did well for a while, but then apparently, and I don't know all of the history on this, started to lose money. And then as it was losing money and potentially going out of business, that's where the city, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that's where the city decided to step in and we'll buy it and keep it going. And municipalities all over America have done the same thing for golf courses. Somebody opens up a golf course in a town. It's a good idea. But then the golf course over time is not really doing all that well, so it's going to shut down. So a city will come along, any city, and decide, well, then we'll buy the golf course and keep it going. The problem is, in not all, but in most cases, what you wind up with is a golf course that is losing money. Constantly losing money. In which case I would say, I live across the street from a golf course. It's beautiful out there. I love looking at the golf course. But if it's not going to make money, I don't want it to be a burden to the taxpayers either. So shut it down. Let it go out of business. I'm very much a capitalist in cases like this. And my answer is, if something doesn't work, don't do what government does. When government sees that something isn't working, they keep dumping money into things. And all we end up with a huge burden to the taxpayers, which is what I'm opposed to. Good morning, Susan. What you got?
Glenn, I think they should pay for all this stuff.
And who's they?
Not the government, not the people, they. Because they want the...
Oh, I see.
They want the new high-pitched softball stadium.
Yeah.
They want it done, so they should pay for it.
Okay, so we have to identify who these they are. Are they in the phone book?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so we find out who they are, and they should pay for everything.
Everything they want, yes, they should.
Yeah, is they related to their, because it's always their fault?
Could be cousins, maybe.
Probably the same family. All right, Susan, you actually gave me something to expand on. I appreciate it. Thanks. No, they should pay for it. One more story on this. I'll go back up to Gillette, Wyoming on this. So there were some people in Gillette who wanted a dog park. Right. So they were determined that the city has to go ahead and open up a dog park. This has to happen. We need a dog park. And I was on the air saying, look, if you folks out there who have dogs want a dog park, then get together with each other and start a group. In fact, there were a lot of micro parks around Gillette that weren't doing. The city thought that micro parks were going to be a great idea. Micro parks turned out to be too expensive, so they were going to shut them down. Buy one of those micro parks and start a membership dog park thing. Members only. That way you can pay for it. And this lady calls my program and says, well, why should we have to pay for it? Well, look at it this way. Let's say I bought, because her argument was she had two big dogs and she lived in a small apartment. And I said, well, that's your mistake. Let me put it to you this way. Let's say I lived in an apartment and I bought a big boat on a trailer. But my apartment complex does not let me park my boat at the apartment complex, so I got to go park it somewhere else. Should the taxpayers have to pay for everybody who has a boat and an RV and can't park it at their apartment The taxpayers should put up the money for a facility so everybody can park it somewhere, whatever it is that they bought that was oversized. And she said, no, of course not. Then why should I pay for your dog? It's not my dog. I don't own a dog. Why? If you guys own dogs and you don't have a place to run your dog, that's your fault. So you go buy yourselves a dog park. Let's wake up.
News and weather together at the top and bottom of every hour. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the ice box where Frank Gambino is waiting by. See, Frank, I'm partially back with the sound effects.
Oh, okay.
Not everything's working, though, but hey, a little bit.
Well, it's just technology.
Yeah.
Right?
So now, I'm going to name for you a place that does not exist, but I think it should.
Rock Springs.
And that's true, yeah. Wyoming.
Well, it does.
It does. No, well, people think it doesn't, but it should.
Well, that's an old joke. Is that you ask people from the East Coast, where's Wyoming at, and they go.
You ever meet anyone from Wyoming? No. I rest my case. All right. Well, this is a sign that actually sits in front of a legitimate business, and it says the Institute of Unfinished Research has concluded that 6 out of 10 people.
Oh.
Yeah, it took you a second.
They haven't finished it yet.
For those people who didn't hear that, I'll read it again. The Institute of Unfinished Research has concluded that 6 out of 10 people.
Okay, I got
it.
See,
now that is a business that does not exist. But I'm looking at it thinking, but it should.
Oh, yeah. It's like individualists of the world.
Yes.
Unite!
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I like the one that, since I'm just a little bit dyslexic, I like to see who gets the joke, okay?
Yeah.
List Dexics of America, untie.
I've seen that one.
Yes, I've seen. Yeah, I think that makes to me it makes complete sense because I can rearrange the letters and go, oh, I get it. Yeah, but okay. So with this one here of the unfinished business research, whatever. Yeah, I can actually head down to Cheyenne, fill out just a tiny little bit of paperwork, about the size of a 3x5 card, and register that as an actual business.
What?
It's that easy.
You're. Really?
I don't have to do anything with it. But how would you like to go ahead and register some really unusual businesses in the state of Wyoming?
I guess you can do that.
You can. Yeah.
Are you actually going to be in business or just register the business?
I just want to register the business. I just want it on the record. That way, Frank, someday some reporter or somebody is just going through the records and they come across something and go, wait a second, this is the business of what?
Yeah, with the address of a P.O. box?
Yes, exactly. I could do that. Or it's Wyoming. I can make up an address for an empty lot somewhere. Because I don't know if you noticed, Frank, Wyoming has a lot of empty lots.
Yes, and just name it what you want. College football, the American Athletic Conference, reportedly has been eyeing the Air Force Academy for possible expansion to lead the Mountain West Conference. The AAC already has 14 schools, but Army and Navy are 2 of them. That would be certainly appealing to the Air Force. The Mountain West needs to figure out things quick and soundly as they're going to lose Colorado State, Boise State, San Diego State, and Fresno State to the Pac-12 or Pac-2 or whatever it is starting in 2016. Also in college football, the Wyoming Cowboys will have a road game at North Texas on Saturday night. The Pokes are 0-3 after a 20-point loss to BYU, and has been painful so far, especially on offense. Now, the Cowboy defense last week against BYU, they were probably on the field way too long, thanks to limited production from the offense. And Cougar quarterback Jake Retzlaff was 22 of 36 for 291 yards and 3 touchdown passes, plus he ran for 62. Those are the kinds of numbers that Wyoming needs from their quarterback. BYU with over 450 yards of offense, and Wyoming had just 217. North Texas will come into Saturday's game winning 2 of 3, but they were drilled by Texas Tech last week 66-21. Mean Green still favored by 9 points in the game, and that's a 5 p.m. kickoff from Denton. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Division I college volleyball, the Wyoming Cowgirls did lose 2 out of 3 in the University of Colorado tournament in Boulder over the weekend. They lost to Cal in 4 sets, UC Irvine in 5 sets, but beat CU in 3 sets. Cowgirls are 6-2. They'll have their own tournament in Laramie, beating Coppin State on Thursday, Albany on Friday, and Utah on Saturday. JUCO volleyball, Casper College 2-14 on the year after losses to Dodge City, Kansas, New Mexico Junior College, Odessa College, and Utah State Eastern in the Northeastern Colorado tournament in Sterling over the weekend. The T-Birds have lost 9 straight matches, 3-0. And they will host NJC on Friday at the Erickson Gym and host Miles City on Saturday afternoon. The LCCC volleyball team from Cheyenne, 5-11. They lost 3 of 4 in the NJC tournament in Sterling. However, they did beat Indian Hills, Iowa in 5 sets, and they were ranked 10th in the country. They lost to number 15 New Mexico Junior College, Dodge City, Kansas, and Barton, Kansas. LCCC will host NJC coming up on Thursday, and that's it in sports.
Okay. So we get all upset when, UW isn't doing so well, but we also got to take a look at a lot of the other teams. I guess they don't draw as big of a crowd or make as much money, but there's a lot of other teams out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Wyoming. Was it USA Today they're rated the 134 Division I teams, and I think Wyoming was like 108.
Oh,
and CSU is right around in that area too. So you know what? Improvement would be easy, considering how bad they have been.
Yeah,
it is a matter now of not only improvement but winning.
When there's nowhere to go but up, it should be easy.
But people are not going to say, "Oh, you lost, but you look better." They're not going to take that anymore.
I'll put it to you this way: there was a time that I turned to somebody and I asked, this is a long time ago, "How did I do?" And their answer was, "You almost didn't suck."
Almost.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Hey, coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to roll into news time after that. National local update on the weather forecast. It's Wake Up Wyoming.